Hello everybody, this is Zashin of Zashin Zone. Something got you to click on this video, whether it's the thumbnail or the title, whatever it was. Please stick around to the end of the video, hear my final thoughts on it. Format I use is one where I'm watching this video. I might stop it for a short comment during the video, but my final thoughts are at the end. Please like, favorite, subscribe, and if you dislike, hey, dislike. Give me your comments. Tell me why you don't like it. I want to hear from you, good or bad. Now let's listen to the video.
There's a lot of back and forth about the language of the resolutions, but the fact is this is an extraordinarily radical step by an outgoing American president intended to box in his successor. I'm a bit...
That fits what I've been saying for the last 3 days about this. President Obama, last Friday, did a very petty thing in setting this up so that Trump is locked into a situation he doesn't deserve. But because the way UN set up, Trump's not going to be able to just threaten his way out of it. Russia and China are not going to let this come back off, so we're going to have to learn to deal with this new situation.
I wouldn't say surprised, disappointed in the volume of the reaction, because I think it fails to acknowledge the totality of this president's record, and frankly the fact that we've had a disagreement on this issue related to settlements for years, that this is not new.
Well, still resonating across the world today is the Obama administration's decision last Friday to abstain from a vote in the UN Security Council, a vote that condemned Israel for its settlements in the West Bank and elsewhere. The importance of this, regardless of whatever the Trump administration does unilaterally, is that it has now become, in effect, international law, a condemnation of the one democracy in the Middle East. Let's bring in the panel right now. Fortune magazine's Nina Easton, Matt Schlapp, contributor with The Hill, A.B. Stoddard, associate editor at Real Clear Politics, and syndicated columnist Charles Krauthammer. Charles, you ended on fire last night here saying that the United Nations should be emblazoned with the Trump logo and sold as condos in the aftermath of this. What else do you have to say?
Well, I'd also collect on the parking tickets of all the UN ambassadors. That could,
which is a problem,
close the budget deficit in Washington. Look, this was a blow against Israel from which it will have a hard time recovering. The Trump administration cannot undo it because it requires Security Council action, and that you can't get without the Chinese and the Russians, who will never undo it. The fact is that Americans have to really think about why we still invest support and, in a sense, sort of psychically invest in the UN, which was a great idea.
I was about to say it was a great idea 70 years ago. But now, and as the authoritarian and dictatorships back then figured out pretty quick, except for the Security Council being able to have certain people that can just single vote veto things down, it is now something that can be used to berate any country, and mostly it's Western countries, democracies, by the authoritarian countries.
70 years ago when it was an idea, but it is a complete failure, and it's a farce. 60% of its activity is devoted to reports, attacks, denunciations, and demonization of one state, the one Jewish state on the planet, a dot on the map. For example, you hear about the World Health Organization. It corrupts everything it touches, talking about Israel causing a health crisis within its territories. This is at a time when the Russians are dropping bombs on pediatric hospitals in Syria, where children there were dying for lack of medicine, lack of food in the siege, and they're obsessed with Israel. This is really a time we're going to have a lot of disruptions, a lot of rethinking of our relationships, the way we are, for example, with Taiwan and China. Time to rethink our devotion, slavish devotion, to an institution that devotes itself to attacking an ally and to undermining American interests.
Maybe this points out what Charles just said.
And that's where Trump and his deals are. I'm hoping that he can find the deals. He can find a way to make things work as expected rather than as it has been perverted.
The presumed power of Donald Trump to change this. We cannot do this resolution. I don't think we can anyway. Does he have any power to do that with the sheer power of his influence in U.S.
I think that, as Charles points out, the power is to swing influence and opinion against the UN, and that's building in the Congress, and that seems to have resonance. The problem is that we don't know what Obama still is left to do. So as you see the Israelis try to collect this evidence, they're going to show to Trump to prove that Obama both produced and provoked this resolution. This is going to be an ongoing story, as we have what we're supposed to have is one president at a time, but it's a story that Trump will relish being involved in. And again, it's not that he can undo it and get a result, but it is definitely a threat to the UN over the long term.
Matt?
Doug, why do you want to be our friend? Why would anybody want to be America's friend when this is how we treat our strongest allies? You have a president who's gone around the globe apologizing to everyone, including apologizing and reaching out his hand to the Castro brothers and to the mullahs in Iran. And that sets a terrible example to the authoritarian leaders across the globe. And then you look at how we treat our friends. And the most disgusting part of this is happening at the tail end of the Obama administration, where basically his third term was denied. And he ought to do the right thing for the country, which is that kind of just manage everything till the new president gets inaugurated, and allow the next president to try to build important relationships across the globe. And Obama's...
And most times, that is exactly what a lame duck president does. He just holds the office in balance till the next president comes in. I'm 51 years old, and I can't remember the last time a outgoing president did something so petty. Petty was the word I used to first describe this, and it's still the word I use it. This was Obama going so low. There is no Democrats on the high road that are supporting this. This is the lowest of low roads, because this is attacking a nation that did nothing to Obama.
Doing everything he can to bind President-elect Trump's hands, and it's wrong.
You know, last word on this before we move to other foreign policy issues.
In some ways, it was a gift to the president-elect, in that it gives him an opportunity to cement and show his support for Israel. A. B. The whole question of, do we support too much give too much financial support to this institution that is often a forum for attacks on Western countries such as ours who are funding it? That's something that's been going on for years, and I think this helps to crystallize Donald Trump's argument about not just the UN but other international institutions. Are we carrying too much of a load? But particularly with the UN, where again it does do a lot of good, a lot of peacekeeping efforts and so forth, but it does tend towards being this forum for anti-Western rhetoric.
All right, my final thoughts on this. We pull our money out of the UN. We also pulled our money out of countries that supported this. Egypt, we give them plenty of aid. How much better could Israel use that aid? In my first video talking about this, I said, let's pull our troops out of, there are countries in Europe that supported this against us. I'm just amazed that Britain voted for this. It blows my mind. But these countries all want to do that? Fine. Let's get our troops, get our planes, get our tanks, pull them all out of Europe, put them in Israel, and say, okay, y'all want to deal with Israel? Here's the deal. If the Palestinians throw a rock into Israel, troops will go back. If Hezbollah throws a rock into Israel, troops will go into Lebanon. This bit of terrorists not allowing the Palestinian government to come to the table and deal, because Israel has been trying to deal since the 80s. My whole life, all I've heard is about how Israel and Palestine can't get to the table and keep reaching agreement. Each time I keep hearing about Israel giving up a little more to try and get the agreement done, and then the agreement falls apart because of the radicals amongst the Palestinians won't go along with it. They want an all or nothing. Israel gone off the map. And this is not a statute that is agreeable to most people in the United States. Now, when Donald Trump gets in, we're going to see what happens. But, as was mentioned in the video just now, Obama's still got 3 more weeks. 5 days before the inauguration, France is having a peace conference. What's going to happen? What other bullshit is Obama going to try to label onto Trump before Trump can get in? This is Ash of Ash and Zone. I hope you had a Merry Christmas. I hope you have a wonderful New Year. And the Lord takes care of each and every one of you. Have a good night.